talking about mentors, we're also living in a multi-generational world.
Mhm.
And I see mentoring as a two-way street.
Exactly.
An older person can mentor a younger person and give them the wisdom and the roadmap. But the younger person can turn around and mentor the older person and give them the technology know-how and some of those modern skills. And together it creates, instead of a hierarchical, a flatter structure. And a great movie that actually depicts this is the movie Intern, where Robert De Niro acts. I love that movie. I use it in the classroom when I teach. And I tend to pair my older students with the younger students because when they work on projects together, the learning and the transformation is much greater. So intergenerational, intergender, interdisciplinary pairing becomes so much more critical. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. And I also believe that as we look at the different generations, is that different generations want to be authentic, they want to be transparent, they want to learn things, they want to learn from others, as well as those of which that are, may it say, later in their career that are joined together. That's the kind of conversation that they want to learn from you and you want to learn from them. I think it's important. I think it's reverse mentoring that happens. And that's kind of back to my statement about mentoring. You can have many people that you mentor or be mentored by. And so that's where your investment in your time is to learn from that. But you're absolutely right from a technology perspective. They're going to be the ones, they're going to help share and bring people along.
Welcome to another episode of Women Investing in Women. Robin and I, week after week, get such joy and tremendous amount of pleasure in featuring different women from different parts of the world, from different walks of life. And you may ask why? What does Women Investing in Women mean? What is this trying to accomplish? Take a step back and think about how much unpaid work women do in this world. The value of the unpaid work women do around the world is 1 billion US dollars a day. And yet women are the poorest in this world. And one of the 17 strategic development goals of United Nations is empowerment and equality for women. And accomplishing that goal alone for the global GDP bottom line is going to have $7 trillion impact. So it behooves each one of us, it behooves the men, allies in our life, businesses, governments, everybody to step in and start exploring how we can help women, how we invest in women, because investing in women is investing in ourselves, investing in our communities. And when we lift up a woman, we literally lift up a society. You are going to absolutely love the woman we're going to be talking today. She is going to be one of those women who's going to open your minds about how impactful women can be. So take it away, Robin.
Absolutely. I am really, really thrilled to have Pam Johansen as our guest today. I met her by watching an Uplevel program. Uplevel is a platform designed by and for women. And Pam was one of the guests on that show, Silver Tsunami, about women leaders. And I was so impressed by her strength and her power and her inspiration and wanting to uplift women that I said, oh my gosh, we have to have her on our show. And I'm going to, I normally don't do this, but I'm going to go ahead and read her resume because it's so, to me, so unusual. Pam Johansen, a senior leader and ecosystem champion, excels in VARs, SaaS, OEMs, and hyperscalers. Recognized in Power 100 Women of the Channel and CRN 5-star partner program, she drives impactful change and exceeds targets. Pam, a top female voice in Cloud GTM nominee, also advocates for women in tech and serves on the Women of the Channel Advisory Board. And so that's I'm just a snippet of all the amazing things that she has done and just the powerful woman that she is. So my first question is, basically just give us a snippet of what you do and what first got you into wanting to mentor and strengthen and empower women so they could move forward on their journey. And you could at some point in the discussion talk about what strengthened and empowered and moved you forward on your journey.
Great. Thanks, Robin. And thanks, Cash, for having me here today. So first off, this is a topic that I have great passion. I have been in the technology industry for 26 years. And one of the things about technology companies is that there are absolutely women versus men. There's more men than there are women. And so one of the things there my passion got me to was around the fact that when going into an organization, there are not any rules as it relates to how women work with other women. And so mentoring has been one of the things that has absolutely, I have rallied around. And the reason for that is that as I experienced going into technology, I found that, as I said, there were no rules. So I took the time to really start seeking out those that had more experience than I did, where in fact they might be able to help me, give me clues upon which and coach me on where I should go, how I should move forward, maybe what kind of job I should look like. Hey, I had one type of job, now I'm looking at another type of job. Also helped steer me in the politics. That was another thing that was truly important. As I went through the journey of mentoring, again, one of my passions also took me to a place where I was in our ERG, the Women in Technology and Business. I drove that for a number of years in a very grassroots effort so that upon I could be able to share with women topics from our customers, our partners, and our executives to share their personal journey, because we all learn something from someone else's personal journey. So that kind of helps set the stage of what happened, where I got to it, that got me also into mentoring and the passion that I have today.
I am so glad to see and hear from you how you've been able to draw and add to where you saw there were opportunities. As you continue to mentor in this tech space, STEM is not a field women choose. I come from a fintech, technology into finance, and also in the STEM world, in a male world. Women don't enter these spaces because they feel like I can't juggle my feminine responsibilities and do this kind of job, because these job standards have been set by men for a masculine world. Mm-hmm. What guidance or advice would you have for young women who are thinking about these things, about how they can start thinking about life and work and trying to find that equilibrium?
So, what a great question. Lean in is what I'm going to tell you. First off, you have to get to a place where those stories that you might have about what's going to happen have to leave you. This is your opportunity to lean in, to take the skills that you have, to even work with others, maybe your teachers, maybe as you get into the workforce, those of which that are in a specific role to help you. Please know that asking for help is not a bad thing. So I do understand that sometimes people don't do things based on the fact that they have thoughts where it isn't going to work for them. But please move forward. Don't be afraid. Lean in, really know and trust. And if you need help, ask for help, because that's the very best way to be able to achieve what you want.
Wow, I'm really loving the fact that you talked about the stories that we tell ourselves. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes the story that women what we tell ourselves is, I'm not good enough. I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. And or I'm not worthy of that. I'm stupid, whatever. And especially in the world of technology, which I am not in the world. I have learned many, many, many things in the world of technology just because I've been forced to do so. But I'm wondering, what have you done to help change the story that you tell yourself? Because I assume that there are times when you've had imposter syndrome, et cetera. How have you changed the story that you tell yourself? And how do you help women, younger women, or even your peers, change the story that they tell themselves on a daily basis?
So one of the things that I do to change my story is that I have to reframe. I have to reframe my thoughts where, in fact, if the story is telling me something on a negative side, I've got to turn it around to the positive. What are the positive things that I bring to the table? The other thing I tell myself is that, what data do you have to support that? Did somebody tell you something? Probably not, because when you have self-talk, you most likely make it up in some way, means, or form. And so sometimes I might have to reframe it by saying, I know this information. I know how to do this. No one is going to stop what I'm going to do because I know I can do it. So you have to combat your self-talk. And please know it's not easy. I mean, you have to do it. You have to practice it, but you have to start laying out, if you're thinking negative, how do you bring the positive into it? Because unless you have data to support it otherwise, it's just you telling yourself a story is the reality of it.
And don't we tell ourselves stories, right? And
Yes.
a lot comes from the culture, the upbringing, the norm, and how we are raised, how we watched our mothers and fathers, and the gender interaction. All of that have a role to play. And whether we go into technology or not, in the modern day, technology is just as important as breathing in order to exist. How do you see us creating a mindset where technology is not something you get on top of everything else you do, but it's inherently a part of what you do? Technology is a state of being in the modern world.
So to kind of comment on that one, you're absolutely right. Technology is everywhere today. You are using technology in every form. If you have a cell phone, you've got an iPad. I know there are times that maybe technology may not be available, maybe at your library, maybe at your school or whatever, but everybody has technology that's accessible to them. I think the most important part about technology is not to go from it of a place of I'm going to be afraid, but absolutely that it's easy. Just be calm, get into it, learn it, and continue to learn it because it's kind of iterative. Everything kind of builds off of the next thing. But if you're starting with technology at just a cell phone or just something that's at your school from an iPad or your PC, it all is iterative. It all continues forward. You just have to take the time to learn it. And I think that's sometimes what people don't really want to do, but you have to. I mean, to continue to learn and build and grow, you have to continue to learn. I guess one of the things I think about myself is I'm a continued learner. Continuously, I learn all the time because there's so much to learn. So kind of my guidance on that one is really around learning. How do you continue to learn in this world of technology, which is throughout the world?
Yeah. It's interesting because when you're tying that, continually learning, and that there's always, even if you know a whole bunch of stuff in any category, there's still more to learn. And I'm wondering, for the women for the women in the organizations that you have been in, who have been the ones that have moved forward? And are there some commonalities between them? And are there things that you can see either individually, probably should be individually and systemically, that are keeping them from moving forward? or things people do to move forward?
So I think you've brought up a great point, and I kind of want to bring it back to mentoring. I mean, I honestly do. One of the things that when I look at a company or an organization, it's if they, in fact, may it be a formal or informal mentoring type of approach that they're doing. Okay. And why do I say that? Is because that's where you're learning off of other women in the organization. And when you're learning off of other women, there are other women that have gone through the process. I mean, they've actually moved up in the ranks. And there are people that have also had mentors, women and men, because that's the other part of it too, is that when you choose your mentors, you should have a few different mentors that are going to help guide you, because those are also the ones that as you go through an organization, is that they probably have, and I'm going to put in a new term here, a sponsor. And a sponsor is that person that's going to be in the room when decisions are being made about you. So it's really important to have mentors that you tell the good, the bad, the ugly, and they're going to help coach you through the organization. And then there are actually those individuals that are sponsors, and they're the ones that are going to have seen your performance and help move you on. Back to your question of those of which that have moved on, haven't moved on. In some cases, those of which that choose not to move on are not investing in those particular areas. And that just becomes, they don't know. Nobody's recommended to them. You might want to get a mentor, or maybe that's not exactly what they're looking for at the time. So again, kind of closing on this question is that you have to obviously step out of your comfort zone, get a mentor, that person that you feel comfortable with, and help them help guide you.
Talking about mentors, we're also living in a multi-generational world.
Mhm.
And I see mentoring as a two-way street.
Exactly.
An older person can mentor a younger person and give them the wisdom and the roadmap. But the younger person can turn around and mentor the older person and give them the technology know-how and some of those modern skills. And together it creates, instead of a hierarchical, a flatter structure. And a great movie that actually depicts this is the movie Intern, where Robert De Niro acts. I love that movie. I use it in the classroom when I teach. And I tend to pair my older students with the younger students because when they work on projects together, the learning and the transformation is much greater. So intergenerational, intergender, interdisciplinary pairing becomes so much more critical. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. And I also believe that as we look at the different generations, is that different generations want to be authentic, they want to be transparent, they want to learn things, they want to learn from others, as well as those of which that are, may it say, later in their career that are joined together. That's the kind of conversation that they want to learn from you and you want to learn from them. I think it's important. I think it's reverse mentoring that happens. And that's kind of back to my statement about mentoring. You can have many people that you mentor or be mentored by. And so that's where your investment in your time is to learn from that. But you're absolutely right from a technology perspective. They're going to be the ones, they're going to help share and bring people along, but it's a two-way street. And that's why I'm saying both voices have to be heard in that relationship.
Yeah. I love that notion that both voices have to be heard. And I'm wondering what have been, in terms of, both people in the relationship being able to help each other and be supportive of each other, because even someone who's really experienced, they can also learn from someone theoretically younger or newer, but they have had different life experiences that can help the other person as well. I want to do a little tiny shift here because I am also very interested in what is going on systemically in organizations. Again, it's vital that every person, become the best that they can and do things as an individual. But there are also things within the system that need to be addressed. So I'm curious, in your walk around many blocks, and many organizations. What are some of the systemic challenges to women moving forward and systemic changes that you would recommend that we could start looking at?
So one of the things that really pops out of my head right away is really when you start looking at women moving up the ladder, the whole glass ceiling kind of concept, that in fact, there's not a lot of women in the C-suite. I mean, and it actually progressively gets worse. I just hate to say that. And that's because there's the whole concept in companies of where a woman does enter management, but she probably stops at a certain level where men kind of move forward. And so one of the things that is what I see in the company, that's the opportunity in my mind, is that together, everyone must work together. The one that's obviously going up the ladder, going towards the glass ceiling, that they need to be able to help the other women that are behind them. And that can be done in so many different ways. It's the whole women supporting women concept. And that how I see this is that woman that's moving down the road, moving up, needs to make sure that the other women are being supported and coached. I think it kind of comes back to, sometimes companies pay attention to the women of top talent, but you know what? All women need to be mentored that want to be mentored, because there will be women that will be leaders, and there's going to be women that are going to have to help other women that are going to have to help the leaders move forward. I also believe in all of this too, is that men have to be also knowledgeable and understand the women have to also work with the men and the women together, because earlier on we talked about having men being allies. That is huge. We absolutely need that. So I kind of bring this back to moving up the ladder. We've got to get more people moving up that ladder. We need to see women helping women to make that whole thing happen through supporting each other.
Moving up the ladder and being supported and supporting becomes an important part of succession planning, business continuity, all of that. As a finance executive, having been in the C-suite since I was 32, that was, 23, 24 years ago, I have noticed that women choose to specialize and grow in their field, but they never take a moment and understand the bigger picture strategy and the financial framework. And to break that glass ceiling, the single most important thing is to understand money, economics, finance, and the intersectionality of decision making to drive that, right? And so how do we encourage women, especially in this society where women never had bank accounts till the 80s, they're not raised by mothers who understood money? How do we fast forward and give some of that background and make it okay for women to think about money? Because I come from a world where that's not an issue, but when women manage money, their marriage is lost too.
Such a fair point. As you were talking about how women kind of go into their specialty area, and that I think is just a bit of security and comfort. I mean, that's just the reality of it. I think this is an interesting point, is that all women should understand business acumen from whatever level it is. And it kind of even comes back to our conversation about technology. Today, we have a lot of technology at our fingertips to be able to understand business acumen at whatever level that looks like. And so back to your statement about women in their specialty, not stepping back, looking at the big picture. This is kind of back to that, even my statement about continuous learning. I think you kind of have to really position yourself to understand what the other roles in that organization does to help you get that broader picture. And that again is through conversation, asking for help, learning what they do. But there's so much opportunity with technology, but business acumen, you must know it at whatever level it means to you.
Yeah. Every time we have one of these conversations, the time goes flying by, and we always say, oh my gosh, has it been 25 minutes already? So I want you to tell us how people can get a hold of you. And then we usually say, give us a final golden nugget or two. I'd like to change to do that as well. Give us a golden nugget or two. But I know that in a prior conversation, you talked about that there's a ladder, but there's also missing rungs. So if you want to talk a little bit about the missing rungs on the ladder for women, and then any golden nuggets, I think, and how we can get a hold of you. I'm throwing a lot at you right now. That'd be great.
So you're absolutely right. I talked about the broken rung in the ladder, and that was kind of back to what I had brought up earlier, is the fact that women are not ascending the ladder because they're stopping for whatever reason. And that's where companies should continue to help support women, whatever that looks like. So as an example, if moving up the ladder means that they have to support something in their world, they have children, or there's something else that's challenging them, the companies have to be very supportive on that movement upwards. Because if they stop, and that's what the numbers are showing right now, is women are walking away at that first line manager role. So companies have to pay attention to that to keep them moving up, because men continue to move faster for that reason. When I talk about nuggets, a couple things that kind of come to my mind. I talked in this conversation about finding a mentor. That's going to be really important. Take the time to find those individuals that you trust and can have the right kind of conversation to help guide you through organizations. You know what? Mentors even are out there, even in your personal life too. You may not call them mentors, but they are there to help give guidance. So mentors. The other thing is women supporting women, and whatever that looks like. In the organization, if a woman is moving higher in the organization, make sure that they're taking time to help bring with them up the ladder another woman, as well as potentially another man, and make sure that the man is also learning about how to be the ally of the women. To contact me, my LinkedIn, that would be the very best way, is Pam_Johansen on LinkedIn. That would be the best way to contact me, and would love to hear from you on this particular subject matter, because I know that we can all grow together.
Thank you so much, Pam. This has been an absolutely insightful conversation. And you're right, mentoring is at the core of building our future, because whether you're men or women, we all need mentored. And the only way we leave our legacy is turning around and mentoring others. And the allyship of men and women working together, mentoring each other, and taking that shared journey is so vital, not just for the individual's development, but for the organization's very viability. Thank you so much for bringing your insights. And I'm sure our audience are going to want to talk to you. And to our audience out there, we are never too old to seek a mentor. We're never too young to be a mentor. And look at life through both lenses. Who can I learn from? Who can I grow with? And who can I help grow? And how do I become a better person? By cultivating somebody else. And that is a gender neutral, generational neutral mindset. Embrace that mindset, because remember, a 2-year-old can take a remote and work it and teach a grandparent how to use remotes. Mm-hmm. Technology is all around us. Everything that has a microchip in your house, there's easily more than 10 things that do. It's all technology. Mm-hmm. So it's around you. You may not even think. So stop thinking about it and worrying about it, and just jump in and swim, because you will take it just like a fish takes to water. And don't let fear get in. Don't let doubt get in. Keep a mindset that you're here to learn, you're here to grow. And who knows, this might be fun.